Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Waste Talk series. Again, I'm your host, Vartika, and with me, I have Malvika. Hi, Malvika. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Vartika. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. So, thanks for being with me once again. Everyone, you must have seen our part one of food reducing food waste, in which we talked about how we can buy smart and intentional buying, fridge setup, etc. And in this episode, we will talk about sorting food waste. So, Malvika, let's just dive right into this. And so, okay, so we can categorize food into two categories: avoidable food waste and unavoidable food waste. Can you break down this for me? And what is all this and how we can manage it?
Yes. So, Vartika, thank you again for having me. And yes, speaking about avoidable food waste, that's food waste which we can um, uh, avoid completely by storing our food well, buying how much we need, like preventing food from getting spoiled in the first place. Unavoidable food waste is food that we are not able to use in other ways, like banana peels or some maybe apple core, eggshells. So these are food that will go to the bin. This is unavoidable. That's how we characterize these two.
Yeah, these peels, banana peels, orange peels, like
Yes.
everybody eats three meals: breakfast, lunch, dinner, and we always get this. So, we have already talked about avoidable food waste,
Mm.
food waste in our plates that should not be wasted. So, please share some tips about unavoidable food waste.
Yes. So, the best thing which we can do with unavoidable food waste is to compost it. We can compost it at home, or we can compost it by participating in green bin collection programs or drop off programs that maybe our municipality or other organizations may be providing. And the reason I say this is a great way to manage this unavoidable food waste is because compost acts as a nutrient for our soil. So, composting is a great way to recycle this unavoidable food waste and give it back to the earth, right? Compost has so many benefits. It apart from providing nutrients to the soil, it also holds moisture. It's like a sponge in the soil, and it will keep the moisture content good in our soil, helping our roots, the health of the roots of our plants. Also, it makes the soil more porous so that air and water can circulate well through the soil and strengthen our plants. So I think composting is a good way to to manage this unavoidable food waste. And this composting will begin with sorting waste, because a good quality compost can be made from uncontaminated food waste. We don't want any plastics and like other items in our food waste stream when we want to compost it. And so today we'll be carrying this conversation forward to sorting waste then.
So, we'll talk more about sorting food waste properly.
Correct.
You talked about compost. Compost is very good and very
Mm.
good for our soil, right?
Yeah.
But some people think that it's okay to add the peels, etc., to the garbage. What is
Mm.
real need to do that?
Mm.
So, what is the importance of sorting food waste?
Yes. So it is very important, and the reason for that is that when food waste goes to the landfill along with all the other garbage, it gets buried down in layers of other waste, and there it starts to decompose, and it is decomposing without any air, and that process leads to the formation of methane gas. Now, methane gas is a very potent greenhouse gas which causes global warming and climate change. And we are all experiencing the effects of climate change. Every summer is hotter than the previous one. We are breaking records with winter storms, droughts, floods. Different parts of the world, we are seeing different impacts of climate change. Wildfires, a very big one that affect us here in Canada. right? So when we keep food waste out of the landfill, we can prevent the creation and release of this methane gas. And I want to tell you that methane is responsible for 30% of global warming.
Hmm.
That's one third of all the warming that we see. And so keeping food waste out of the landfill by sorting it is so important, right? And so when we talk about keep sorting food waste and reducing landfill waste, um, this is a this way we can be a big part of climate solution,
Yeah.
right? So I would conclude by saying that it has environmental benefits, great environmental and benefits for us as well, right? Our own health and well-being. And one more benefit comes to mind is saving costs, because landfills are expensive to manage them. Buying new ones and closing a landfill is expensive. And so by reducing food waste that goes in the landfill, we can save space in the landfill. And so we don't have to keep acquiring new ones, right? So yeah, we can save costs with that.
Yeah, a lot of us don't understand the price cost of landfill because we just don't know, right? We have never heard about this. But this flood and wildfire is so common. Not
Mhm.
just past 1 year, 2 years, couple of years, we have seen so many cities have burnt with the wildfire. That is so sad. And yes, and this is a common myth that some people think that if we are throwing the food waste to landfill, it is
Mhm.
kind of decomposing just like compost, right?
Mhm.
But there we don't have those controlled condition. As you said, it's buried under the other waste, plastic and other things. Same way, there are some closed bags still, tied and closed, and all
Mhm.
the wet waste is inside, and it's creating that methane gas. So composting at home in controlled condition is different than throwing it in landfill.
Absolutely.
Composting can be done at home, or our city also does composting for us.
Hmm.
And how we can start sorting right, or even sorting at home.
Hmm. So while to begin sorting, the first step, there are very few simple four steps. One step is to make space for a separate bin where you can collect your food scraps. Okay, so I want to show you what I use. On my kitchen counter, I have kept this small container,
This
and
one is pretty cute, by the way.
thank you. It and you keep collecting. I keep collecting my food waste throughout the day in this. And after this is done, I transfer it to another container which is under my sink. And I want to show you that as well. This is of a little bigger capacity, and then every week I empty it. Sometimes even before 1 week ends, depending on how much food waste is getting collected in that. um, so yeah, make space for a bin under your sink or on your counter. Get familiar with what your city accepts in the green bin, right? Get a what goes where poster. They're available online. That's the second step, and that's it. And start collecting the food in the container, right? And then empty it out when it's full. Um, in your own compost bin at home if you are composting at home. But let's say you don't have a compost bin yet, then you can empty the container in the green bin that the city provides, the green cart or green bin, whatever it is called in your city, for collection. And then the city will either compost it themselves or then send it to another contractor who will compost it. So that's how we can begin sorting our waste.
So you have a small container for your counter and a big one for under the sink, so
Hmm.
that it's easier for you and your family members as well.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They don't have to open the door every time and throw it under the sink, right?
Thing.
It
Yes.
becomes easier, more accessible. So they make sure that they're doing it every time. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so if it is so easy, why do still some people still don't want to do it?
I think one of the biggest myths is that it will smell. and it will attract fruit flies, and it will be messy and dirty. But that's not true from my experience. By getting a container which has a proper sealed lid, thing prevents most of the problems. I don't get odor issues. I don't open the under the counter sink so many times throughout the day. I'm collecting in the small container. At the end of the day or evening, I'm transferring it to the main one, and I'm keeping it closed. I also avoid putting liquids in that. I try to because that is what causes the smell much to develop faster. And then there are some tips to manage odor if it is happening, right? You can maybe sprinkle some baking soda, I've read, or vinegar and water spray. If you put, then that prevents odors and also prevents fruit flies from coming.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
that's
I
easy.
have another perspective on this. I
Mm,
think, you are adding it to your trash or you are collecting it separately.
mm.
It is same thing. If you're adding it to your trash, your whole trash is smelling. Your whole trash has fruit flies, right? So the problem is not in separating. The problem is,
Mm,
you will get that food scraps every day and you have to
mm,
manage it somehow.
mm,
So you have a option of taking your sorted kitchen waste out every time, but
mm.
your trash you don't take out every day. You just do it weekly, and it stays there in your black bin for 1 week. That
Yeah.
is more, I think.
I think yes, absolutely. And in fact, I would invite our viewers to experiment with this, because we
Mhm.
did at home. 1 week we didn't sort anything, and just after the second day, because it is only one bin, you're opening it 10 times a day for putting, discarding, whatever. And then every time the smell is coming, the fruit flies are coming. But this way, if the garbage is staying dry, it is not going to smell or do fruit flies. And the food waste, if you put a smaller one, then this is what you're opening throughout the day, and this also has a proper lid, right?
Yeah.
And the other one you're only opening once or twice a day at the most, right? So I think it is a much better sorting is a much better way to reduce odors and fruit flies, like you said.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we talked about we can sort food waste for the green bins, but we are in winter period now, and sometimes we take the food scraps outside, it gets frozen. Do you
Mm.
have any tips to avoid freezing the food waste so that the green bin is emptied every time when truck comes?
Yes, one of the tips that works well is to put some newspaper layer at the bottom or some cardboard layer, so that will absorb any excess moisture from the food, which tends to get frozen. Apart from that, whenever it's sunny, keep the cart in the sunny spot so that it will thaw naturally. And yeah, if the items are frozen, you can maybe use a stick or the handle of a broom to like dislodge those stuck up items. These are some of the many tips.
What all can we add? Like, can we add those biodegradable items? Like, what all can we add in the food scraps? You have some tips on that?
So for this biodegradable containers or bags, those wooden or bamboo cutlery, the thing is that I would say the best option is to reduce these, because to compost these items, the compost systems need to have those advanced settings to manage them, and not all all the cities have that system right now. Right. So if we are buying these things or using these things thinking that, oh, they will get composted, it is possible that in our city that the system at present cannot handle that. So that will have to go in the garbage. And the best thing is to use reusable cutlery and containers, reusable bottle or flask, and just carry it in your backpack, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, for example, in Edmonton,
Mm,
wooden cutlery is composted. You can add
mm,
it to your food bin, food scrap
mm,
bin. But
mm,
paper plates, lot of people think that those are also compostable, but those
mm,
are garbage. And the
mm.
city of Edmonton composting facility cannot compost it. What
Hmm.
about Ottawa? Can you also compost paper plates?
No, sorry. For the paper plates, I will have to see. But for the this wooden bamboo cutlery, we cannot put that in the compost bin.
So, yeah,
That
I think that should the paper plates should also be a no then for the for
we
yours.
can, yeah.
You don't know because you don't use it.
Yeah, no, I don't. I have not used it in a very long time, so I don't even remember now.
Yeah. And how about tissues, napkins? Those are actually good for the food scrap bin, right? Those also absorb moisture.
Yes, but the important thing to keep in mind is that if we're using those tissues for like food, if it has
Mhm.
soiled food, then it's okay. But if you used it for with some spray to clean surfaces, then it's best not to put it in the that because it will introduce all these synthetic chemicals also in the compost, which we want to avoid. Yeah.
Okay. So, and what is your advice about the compostable bag? Should we line our small pails with the bags, or should we avoid it?
Um, I think this really depends on the rules of the city. Because some cities say that it is okay to use those bags or any plastic bag because at their waste composting facility that time they will remove the food scraps from the bag. They have a debagging machine, so the bag will break open, the food scraps will come out and they will compost it. But some cities advise to not do it because maybe they want to avoid that process, so they'll say you can use a paper bag or like a newspaper lining in your bins. So I would ask all viewers to view to check the rules of their city.
Yeah. Yeah, for example, in Edmonton, you don't even have to use compostable bag because the machine cannot differentiate between compostable or the regular plastic bag.
Mm.
Whatever bag is you have used has to go away,
Yeah.
debagged and go to trash, right?
Yeah.
So it's best to avoid it. Use
Mm.
a paper lining or something. But if
Mm.
you have to use it, you can use anything,
Yeah.
especially for apartments when they have.
Mm.
You are in an apartment. What do you follow?
So here in Ottawa also we can use any plastic bag for the same reason that you mentioned. And in some buildings they advise to use the plastic bag because otherwise the green bin gets messy, and then there is not always staff to clean it, and then who is responsible for the mess. So they just say like sort your food waste but tie it up in a bag so that the cart can remain clean.
Yeah, that's
So
right. Makes sense actually.
yeah.
But I do my own composting, so I never used any plastic bag. I line it with a paper, fold it
Mm.
in a certain way, and just line it. And it
Mm.
also keeps my pail clean. The
Mm.
food does not stick to the sides.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we have talked about sorting food waste. Let's go to the magic hole, sinkhole. A lot of people think that we can put anything in our sinks and it just disappears. We don't have to do anything. We don't know where it goes.
Yeah.
So, what is your advice about fat, oil, etc.?
Yes.
Should we drain it down the hole or not?
No, never, never. We should not do that. Even there is a myth that if I will use hot water and soap to make the fat or like butter, oil to wash away, once it goes down the pipe, so it will cool down there in the sewage line, and the oils and fats they will cool down, solidify, and separate, and they start accumulating together with other foods particles and make clogs. And that is not good for our pipes or for the other main pipelines of the city. The cost to clear those clogs comes down to millions of dollars every year. If you look up even Epcor website in Edmonton, they specially have a web page dedicated to this problem because it is such an unspoken, overlooked topic to do so. The best thing is to, if you have lots of oil or butter from your cooking, collect it separately in a container and then you can put it in your green bin as is. If you have lots of quantity of oil like more than 1 liter, then take it to an eco station.
In a small
And
container. Yeah.
yes, a small container, collect and take to an eco station. And lastly, like what I do at home, if I have cooked, if I can see a residue of oil, I take a paper towel and wipe the pot or pan first, put that paper in the green bin, and then I put the pat or the pan or pot for washing. Yeah. So
So tissues with oil can be put in the green bin, but if
yes,
lot of amount, then it should go to trash bin.
yes, yeah.
Is
I don't want to. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Don't let any drop of oil go down the drain. It doesn't belong there. It causes
Yes,
problems.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about garburator. A lot
Mm.
of people are big fan of this garburator that makes the small pieces of our food scraps and then it goes down the drain as well. Is it a good thing?
Um, Honestly, after all my readings, I would conclude with a no. So carburetors, just to give a brief context, like Vartika said, it will take your scraps of food and then it will make a pulp out of it. It's like a grinder. Make a pulp out of it, and then that pulp will get flushed out from your sink into the waste pipeline, the water pipeline. Right now, this is very common in some parts of the world, especially the US, where it was invented. And it is convenient. Like, just put it down there, press the button, and then it's gone. You don't have to sort your food waste, take it to a green bin. So it is marketed for that. And they also say that from the waste water, they will process it, right, in the waste treatment facility. But that process is energy hungry. It is also overall costly, and it has environmental impacts, which I would like to share, that I have read now, which is why I said that I personally did not resonate with the use of carburetors. So first, to flush out that pulp, we have to let the water run. So first, it
Yeah.
excess water use, right? All this in the sewage line, that pulped up food that can start to decompose there and start releasing methane gas,
Hmm.
right? So that's another impact. The third is it can start to clog up and make something which is called as a, like a fat berg. That's what a technical term is for that. um, Especially because of oils and fats. It just puts lots of solid food down the water system, which is not wasn't it was not designed to handle that. Okay, it was designed to take sewage and water waste, but not food waste. um, so that's another problem, that it adds load to the infrastructure overall. And then in Vancouver, in fact, in 2025, they uh, they put forward a motion. The city council put forward a motion to say that, to highlight this issue, that in Vancouver, nearly $2.5 million are spent every year to clear up those fat bergs that are being caused because of carburetor use. And so they put forward the motion to say that we need to promote sorting food waste and composting it, and reduce the use of carburetors. And I also want to say that there are so many cities in Canada that have banned carburetor use, including Ottawa and Toronto, which other some other ones also, Markham, Vaughan. Like, there are many big cities that have banned because the infrastructure load is too much, and they have good composting programs. So that's what they promote. And in Edmonton, I read that it's not banned, but they discourage the use of carburetors uh, as a as a channel for disposing food waste, because Edmonton is also leading in their waste sorting programs, right? um, so because of all these concerns, I would say that it's not a great option to use it like a waste stream. And one other thing that comes to mind is, like you just asked earlier, what happens to that when it goes gets flushed down? You ask that question. When it goes to the waste treatment, water waste treatment facility, over there, it that they do multiple steps of processing of that water to get that pulped up food waste out. It becomes like a messy sludge, and that sludge, either they have to take it to a landfill, or they can make biogas from it if they have the equipment to make biogas, which are called anaerobic digesters. So some cities are installing those digesters and saying that now we can prevent that from going to the landfill. But if a city doesn't have that and we are using garburators so much, then it is taking more energy to send something to a landfill, which we could have just done using a green bin, right? Or a trash can if we wanted to. So yeah, not a great option.
Yeah, so essentially, garburator is throwing your waste into landfill. It's equivalent to throwing it to landfill, because each city cannot make biogas as well.
Yes,
And,
if the city can make the biogas, then it will become renewable
yeah,
energy.
yeah,
But
but
if it is
not
not
all
there,
cities
then
have it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And you used a term fatberg. So that is like oils mixed with all these food scraps
yes,
that come out of garburator, right? So
hmm,
everything mixed becomes a fatberg,
yes,
right?
that's right.
And I was thinking, when they invented garburator, they only thought about convenience. They did not think about how much big problem these garburators will create.
Oh,
Because in US, so many cities have it, and once lot of cities have it, it is same thing as plastic. When we invented, we did not think about how much problem it will create. It's
yeah,
just it's convenience, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. It was made because it was convenient, and at that time we did not have like waste sorting programs and composting programs. That was not as widespread as today. And carburetors were invented 100 years ago. That's how old they are, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, but at that time, maybe population was less, so many people were not using it. It was still manageable to handle
yeah.
it, but now it's becoming a problem.
Hmm. Yes,
And best is to sort it at home and compost at home. Keep
yes.
your own food scraps, your food
Hmm.
resources with
Hmm.
you, and make your own organic fertilizer out of it.
Yes. And
That's
I want to share with our viewers that Vartika has amazing videos on composting using different compost systems, and also on vermicomposting. So I would suggest you to go check out her channel for those videos to learn more from real life examples of people who are doing composting at home and successfully doing it.
yeah, no, thank you, Malvika. Thank you for watching those videos and telling our viewers about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we have talked a lot about sorting food waste for your own composting, for
Mm.
cities green bin, or we have talked about garburator, etc. as well. What is your final message to our audience?
For my final message, I would like to read out a short poem that I wrote. I sort my food waste and I compost to prevent landfilling of this valuable resource. I sort my waste and I compost to prevent our planet from warming more. I sort my waste and I compost, even if imperfect, small efforts matter first and foremost. Today, I efficiently sort all my waste. But once upon a time, I was a beginner too. And as I learned, old ways quickly erased. So let's all take efforts for our planet Earth. Or should I say, planet home? Let's do it with love and for love, for those who we love the most. Thank you.
Awesome, lovely. Another poem. You said one in part one as well. That was a great poem as well for everyone. I sort my waste and I compost.
Mhm.
Everyone, thank you for watching. I hope you took away some tips from this talk today, and tell about this to your family, friends, neighbors, and follow these tips and keep your home and city clean and green. Thank you for watching. We'll come back.